And welcome to our Saturday, August 31st edition of the Colonial Downs preview show, Merv. It is Virginia Derby Day.
It is. Finally here.
I know.
Depending on when you're watching.
Hold on, finally here, Merv? We've been here for like 4 weeks. Don't give me this finally here. But no, it is finally here, and we're very excited about the Oaks and Derby card.
Oh, are we still going?
Yeah,
I thought
we're
that
going.
was a
No,
cut.
that was fun. Come on, Merv. We got to leave it in here.
Okay.
Yeah, very excited about the big night coming up Saturday. So I hope to get your guys' opinions on all of the races. Don't forget, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Beem Awards. He's at Merv Huber. No Calvo.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Still working on changing everything over. It's only been 5 years.
You might have commitment issues, Merv. Let's start picking through this 10-race card. No jump races, because those were moved to Friday. If you're watching this on Friday, those are coming up tonight. But we start out, Merv, with 1.25 miles on the outer turf. Now, we actually have a chute down there. You might not know from watching, but there is a tiny little chute just past the quarter pole on the outer turf course. It's kind of like the Arlington Million.
Just kind of angled out.
They start at that little angle, so and it's a big field, so post position could come into play a little bit.
The first time we've used it, too.
It is the first time we used it, yeah, and so I'm really excited to see kind of how this plays out and what happens. And it's not a bad field either, by the way.
No, no jump races, but we've got some jumpers in here. It's a maiden race, but we've got 2 jumpers, one of which is a Grade 1 winner, won a Grade 1 race at Saratoga a couple years ago. I actually did pick one of the jumpers in my top spot, the 1A Caldbeck.
Yeah.
I just thought he looked very good. Hadn't run for 9 months, came back a couple weeks ago at Delaware, ran in 1.5 miles. Yeah, flat race. And was second, beaten less than a length. That's a pretty demanding distance to ask for someone or for a horse that hasn't run that. And he was well clear of third. So there was a lot to like in here. Yeah,
this race is a maiden event, so you're going to see his record says 8, 2, 1, and 2, but those 2 wins don't count because those were at jump races. And it seems the horse was pretty darn good at the jump, so kind of surprised they haven't gone back to that. But hey, you got a maiden condition and a horse that can still run on the flats. Why not? That horse certainly the stronger half of the entry, right? I mean, the other horse bowled over with just the 1 start for Jonathan Shepard, but wasn't much of a run.
Yeah, I wasn't very excited about the other half of that entry, but yeah, the 1A I would give a long look. I'll be interested to see what odds he goes off at, considering he's been mostly over the jumps.
The number 2 Wise Man I wanted to ask you about or Wise Men rather. This horse has been running in lower level maiden claimers, maiden 20, maiden 8, maiden 16, and doing okay, a couple of thirds. They jump up to maiden 40 last time and they run second. The jump up, to me, I think is a little bit false because the race was 1.5 miles, so it makes me wonder if it was like some kind of just special race or a series race or whatever. And the horse was 6 to 1. Like when do you see a maiden 16 in Maryland, which is not an easy place to go run in a maiden special weight, jump after a third place finish beaten 4 up to maiden special and only be 6 to 1? So I'm a little.
It was a short field, right?
I'm a little suspect of the field just in general because. And this horse was only beaten ahead. I mean, not that maybe it just loves the distance, but to me, that's a little bit of a false class drop to me, or class jump.
Probably not many bottom level maiden claiming races going 1.5 miles on the turf. I guess they wanted to try something.
But Delaware did it with Caldbeck, so I mean, it's
maiden special though.
Well, that was what. But I'm just saying, like maybe it's a Mid-Atlantic thing because I mean I don't think I've ever seen 1.5 mile maiden race out west.
No,
of any kind.
Well, he was well clear of third, 7 lengths clear of third, and he's very consistent, but I did keep him out of my top 3 because I did think he would take a lot of money, and also 0 for 11, so I'm kind of subscribing to your theories here on maidens, right? If they've had too many starts, then you gotta pass.
Let's go toward the outside, number 6 and 7, Martial Law and Talaga Bay. I think you're right that both will take a little bit of money. Talaga Bay getting a new rider, Wes Hamilton. Chanuski had been riding this horse pretty regularly. Kind of got stuck in behind a loose on the lead Mutashiba last time.
Yeah, I thought Talaga Bay would probably go off favored here, considering his last couple of runs. He's had 2 good runs here now because he was in that Virginia restricted maiden special weight 2 back. So I picked him second in here because I'd try to beat him, thinking he's going to be kind of a strong favorite in here, I thought. What did you think about the 6 Martial Law coming in?
Well, I mean, this is the only thing I really thought that he had going for him. I mean, because I'm terrible at interpreting overseas form. They don't give you a whole lot of information, and I don't know, I don't know a lot of the connections or who to look for.
But these connections are hot.
These connections are hot, and the horse just ran 1 mile and 3/16, was only beaten a couple of lengths. Shane Foley had kind of been the regular rider. I know he's a decent rider over there, so I thought there were reasons to be hopeful
Yeah.
for this one.
And really,
And the works have been good over at Fair Hill.
other than the horses we've already talked about,
Yeah.
I couldn't find much else to like
Not a
in
whole
these other
lot,
runners,
no.
so I slotted him in kind of in my third spot, thinking, well, he has experience at the distance and
Yeah.
he didn't run all that bad.
Who you got in race 1, Merv?
I went 1A, 7, and 6.
If you watched our last couple of days' shows, we talked about how we had a couple of these 5-furlong outer turf sprints coming up, and race 2 on Saturday is one of those with a big field of 13. A few with some proven form and a lot of first-time starters. I mean, there's kind of a little hodgepodge of everything in here.
Yeah, you really had to look for clues
Yeah.
in here. This will come as no surprise to you, but I've picked the Dane Kabisky first-time starter, Queen Bess, the 5 in here. Has a couple works, good works coming into this, including a kind of a zippy bullet on August the 13th. She's a half to Salvatore Mundi, who
Yeah.
was 3rd in the Bourbon Stakes last year. So 2-year-old on the grass. I thought look for a little pedigree play in here. Plus, I want to get a look at her in the paddock in here. But I thought first-time starter might get some value there.
And for what they paid, $28,000 at the sale, 40 seems like the right place to debut. I mean, a good performance and a claim, and they come out ahead because I mean it was less than a year ago they bought the horse, so I mean couldn't have racked up that much money in training costs in the interim. So it seems like a reasonable spotting for me. There's really light workout information on a few of these horses, so I would guess we'll get a couple of late workouts.
There's no workouts
there's
at all.
literally no workouts on that one. What about Quality H2O, who last time showed speed at least? Like to me, that's with younger horses, that's always at least a weapon.
Yeah, well, as you get to this short 5-furlong distance, I was looking for either speed or fast workouts going into there. Really retreated, though, in that race at Presque Isle. Went out for an early lead and was pretty well beaten in there.
You listed Bluegrass Sky on your top 3. What was it about that horse that you liked?
Well, I was looking for those really fast works in there. August 23rd went 3 furlongs in sub 36. So that was the fastest work I could find of any of these runners. So I just wanted to throw her in there. The trainer only wins with 2% of firsters, but does win with 25% in maiden claiming. So
I think you rightfully made number 12 New York Rockstar pretty low on the morning line for this big of a field, 5-1, and I think a big part of that's going to be because Jamie Ness has been winning a lot. Yeah,
on fire, both, and Trevor McCarthy as well.
Yeah, I just. With first timers, I don't really care who's right. Do you? But as far as taking money, I think you're right. But like from a handicap perspective, I'm 95% who the trainer is.
Well, in a big field though, in a short race,
you
can't really afford to get into any trouble, or else it's kind of over.
See, for me with jockeys, it's more like I think the top such and such amount at most circuits are plenty capable. So I'm not picking and choosing too much. And maybe that's
Sometimes they get hot though, right? And then when you're riding with confidence, you can string them together.
Who'd you go with in this one? Queen Bess.
Queen Bess, the 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, and then the 10, Bluegrass Sky. And then my price play was this 9, Bien Amy.
Bien Amy, who didn't run a jump in the debut, right?
No, but was kind of off slow, and then just kind of chased them all the way around.
It was part of an entry, right? I remember it being a 1 and 1A.
Yeah. Not very well bet, 26 to 1 in there.
I think the other part of the entry was way back as well. Like they were both last and second to last, if I remember right.
Wouldn't surprise me. That was a really fastly run race, actually, and I thought this filly just had kind of a fast pedigree by Bodemeister out of a tribal rule mare. I was looking for clues in here, and I kind of had to stretch sometimes.
Those races are puzzles. All right, so you went 5, 3. 10 and
9 was my 4th.
If the 9 run goods, Merv will take credit for it. Third race on the card, Merv, we're on the inner turf at a mile, and I saw Speed App in here, who I know we both kind of liked his debut win, and Mutashba came back. What's interesting is his race was so impressive and on the dirt, and now we're going to see him on the turf. But Mutashba, who he beat on the dirt, just came back to win on the turf.
Right, yeah, going long. But Speed App had been running long before that, so it was kind of out of place in that race, but it was just like a dominant win over Mutashba. So I don't think he's going to have any trouble going to the turf. His dam has 2 turf winners as well, so I think he'll be fine on the stretch out. And like you said, I really liked that win.
We talked on yesterday's show about Jag and your love of Jag.
I love Jag.
Closer Look is coming off a second place finish behind Jag. A couple horses coming out of the race, but I thought it was a pretty nice effort from Closer Look.
Yeah, and he was he let go at 9 to 1 that day, but I thought he ran kind of a gutsy race. Beat 11 It Is, who also runs Friday, so we'll get a little clue there of whether that race was quality. Jag came back from there, lost his next start, but I thought ran a good race and kind of a bit of a step up there.
I thought Wahoo Wah Wahoo Wah.
He was only a few
I thought he
back.
ran. Yeah, I thought he ran okay.
31-1 that day.
Don't say his name wrong though. These locals will get real bad at you. I think I said Wahoo, and it's Wahoo.
Wahoo.
Yeah. So and then boy, that 4-horse. I had to go watch a replay last night on how to say that one. Paratikashaka. Paratikashaka. Dave Rodman, shout out. The Paratikashaka, the 4, we'll call this horse. He's got what I call the every other pattern. Every other race is pretty decent, and then the next one is really horrible. But last one was horrible. That means he's due, and he's a monster price almost every time.
Yeah.
So and Trevor shows up for King Leatherberry. Come on, King's 0 for 2019. We got to get him on the board.
What do you think about Hillsdown in there? He was my third pick, and he went for that maiden claiming to.
Yeah, we talked. He was in. Was this a race brought back, or was he just one that was brought back? Yeah, because. It was so interesting. He ran so good at maiden 30. They literally jumped him up to the highest price of his life, a non-price, and he won. So to me, maybe he's just kind of figuring things out and doing really well. So I thought he made a fair bit of sense, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Your picks in the third?
1-5-2 in here.
Let's go on to the fourth race. $75,000 for fillies and mares, 7 furlongs, and I thought there was a fair bit of speed in her, Merv, and I thought it was a race that could set up. I was thinking that was part of the reason you made Kyren the favorite, and also, the horse has been competing against pretty tough horses. But I thought this was a race that could fall apart a little bit.
Yeah, I thought so too. Well, Kyren is. How do you say Kyren?
That was Kyren.
Kyren?
Kyren, yeah.
Kyren, well, she's been running against just much better.
I always look up I watched the replays the night before to look for names, so.
I just ask you.
It could be Carrier by the time we get there on Saturday.
The show was when I figure out how to do things.
Yeah.
I just ask you. But yes, I agree. Lots of speed in here. If there's a pace meltdown, I think that she stands to benefit. So not only does she look like the best on paper, but the pace sets up for her as well.
I had my price play in here, number 5, Pretty Greeley. I'm a big John Ortiz fan. I think he's just a really tremendous young trainer, and I thought this horse is going to be, with the stretch out to 7, I feel like 7 furlong races and 6 furlong races often take much different shape, and sometimes they can, sometimes you can be a little bit closer. They just seem to show up a little bit different. So I thought Pretty Greeley might actually kind of fall into just a really good trip and maybe get first run over Kyren. I feel like she's a little bit faster than that horse, and just an honest mare. Has made almost $300,000 and has been very, very good on dirt. And like I said, I think John Ortiz is a really, really good barn. And Sophie Doyle's coming to ride one of the big races, so she figures, hey, I may as well pick up a mount on this one that I rode last time to a good second place finish.
What do you think of Foxy Mischief coming in off 2 wins, including one here? Yeah. That was kind of a short field in that last race, but she was moving early. She went 45 and change for the opening half, and she wasn't coming back to him. No,
was very, very good down on the inside and just never looked back. And that was kind of when my inside rail bias theory started to begin. But I don't know that 23-1 is going to happen in this race, just because of the horse to her inside has speed, and so I don't know that I like the draw as much, but I know they were very excited about the horse. I know some of the connections, and they were pretty fired up. So I mean, I think there's a lot of ways you can go in this race, and to some degree it'll be price that dictates what I would want to do. I mean, even Stormologist, who wasn't on the lead or close to it last time, it wasn't that far back, but had shown speed sprinting at 6.5 a few starts back. So I thought even that one, I don't think it'll be on the lead, but at least it'll be close up. It could be very well bunched. It's going to be real interesting to see the tactics in this race. Yeah. I even thought In Spite Of was interesting. John T. Service, who was Tyler Service, I believe, he won here on opening night with a horse, and this horse has been in the exacta 7 out of 10 times, and he's a very, very sharp young trainer. So I wouldn't be surprised if that one even isn't. I mean, I thought there was just a lot of ways to go. Jeremy Rose shows up here with the 8 horse. I think Queen Nakia's going to take some money too.
Yeah, I think so.
Pecoraro's a 27% trainer.
Yeah, and Jeremy Rose in to ride Queen Nakia. I kind of liked the one Angel at War a little bit. You have to forgive some of her most recent efforts. And I also worried that there was too much speed in here for her, and that she might not like going up to 7 furlongs.
With the rail, she kind of has to.
She got to go, yeah. But speed was holding the last time we ran a dirt race. Now, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I did look back in her form. She has gone just 7 furlongs before and ran well. In fact, she ran into Kyren in that race and was only a length and a half behind her.
Well, we will have some dirt racing before Saturday night, so if you're following along on a day-by-day basis, you'll have a little better gauge of how the dirt might be playing as we get ready for Saturday. So always important to kind of follow along how that goes. I mean, even watching Saratoga last weekend, which they're 5 minutes post. I actually got a buddy that's live in the Pick 5 here at Saratoga, so after the 5th race, Merv, we might have to take a 5-minute break, go to commercial or something. Shout out Swifty. Last weekend I thought the rail was not the place to be again. When Chancelot got caught, you started noticing a lot of the horses were zooming up way on the outside and winning there. So you just got to follow them. They change week to week. We obviously had a lot of weather last week, so we don't. And we didn't run any dirt race last week, so we don't kind of know where it's at. Your picks for race 4, Merv?
I went 4, 3, and 1 in here. You mentioned the pick 5. We should have mentioned this at the top of the show. 2 pick 5s today. There's going to be an early pick 5 and a late pick 5.
Race 1 and race 6. And there's also an all-stakes pick 4, which we'll get to here in the 6th race. But let's do race number 5, Merv, mile and 3/16 on our outer turf course. And optional claiming 25,000. Non-winner, so read the conditions. But a lot of horses coming off of maiden wins and a few that are just kind of looking for their spot. And I Dream of Lois, one of our early wire-to-wire winners, I thought in here, but I thought things were going to be tougher for her.
Yeah, I think she got away with a pretty easy pace, and that was kind of a scratch-depleted race, if I remember correctly. I looked to the 6, Princess Chope in here. Only won for 18, so there's a bit of a knock, but she was second beaten in the neck last time after an 8-month layoff, so I thought she could improve in her second start.
And spotted them a fair bit of lengths early on behind a not very fast pace.
Not fast, and Zonda won that race, and she runs back in the Oaks.
The stakes,
Yeah, so...
she went wire to wire, right? Zonda, we'll find out.
No, Zonda came from off the pace as well, but... Grand Motion.
Aggie's Kate was who was on the lead and got caught third. That's what it was.
Yeah, and she's back in the Oaks as well.
That was an aggressive placing.
That was a tough
price
race.
play of mine and an allowance, so the stakes, much different word. But yeah, I mean, this horse sizzled some win money the last couple of starts, though. Certainly
in for
come
Graham could have a good day today, and also. This is a 9.5 furlong race, so with her running style, I thought she would benefit from that extra furlong as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen horses, a lot of times the general thought is sometimes the longer you stretch them out, the more it becomes speed favoring because everybody kind of gallops around. But we've seen those mile 3/16 races have horses come from pretty far back. We saw it with the starter allowance just the other night. So, I thought this was a pretty interesting race. Cha-Cha Heels is coming out of a stake, so I kind of put a little bit of a line through that, and then you're looking at a horse that's been running in pretty tough optional claiming races at GP and being competitive. Beale Street, we both liked the win. The figure, at least on Briz, didn't come back that high, but it was a flashy win for maiden, but it was a restricted race.
She came from well out of it. She was so wide, and she just dominated down the lane.
And polished L&J Foxwood. Everything they've sent here so far has ran. I mean, I think they have 2 wins, and they ran first, second with an entry the other night, and then this horse was second last time out at Laurel. And
at 2 to 5, she's been burning some money.
Yeah, but I mean. Everything they've been sending has been running, and so it makes me think that they're like, hey, this is a neat place we can run.
I thought
make huge money.
Yeah, I thought her race 2 back was interesting. We went 1.5 miles facing males at Laurel.
It made a big move and took the lead, opened up, and then not only got caught by a couple horses. Yeah, but won't have to go 1.5 miles this time, but certainly a distance of ground. But yeah, Delacour and LNJ, they are on fire. I even thought So Charming was worth mentioning, Merv.
Yeah, just consistently good. She finished 7th last time, but she was only beaten a couple lengths by Romantic Pursuit, who came back to win here. And also, what day does she run? She runs before this.
Friday.
Right? Friday. So watch her and see how that shapes out.
Yeah. Saratoga Shippers, Merv. Johnny V. Off. Never a great angle because he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Who would you pick in race 5?
I went 6, 8, 10, 11.
The all-stakes pick 4 and the 12% takeout late pick 5 kick off in race number 6, and we stay on that outer turf, but shortened up to 5.5. I know you were hoping Embolden was going to run in this race. No Embolden in here, but a fun little group, I thought.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, and we see So Street come back, so he won on opening day. That was a tough little allowance race that
he won
remember.
Big, going away.
Yeah, at 9-1, which I was surprised that they let him off there because he showed so much promise in his debut, and then kind of ran a clunker, right? They added blinkers last time. He came right up the rail. I remember it was such a good move. And like we've said, Jamie Ness, Trevor McCarthy, both on fire. I just thought he was a really strong pick in this race.
Yeah, news to me, a flashy debut winner on dirt for Mike Trombetta, going away by 4.5. Add speed and mix. four-wheel drive. So Irad Ortiz is listed as the jockey. He's not riding anywhere else in the car.
Doubt.
Yeah, Wesley Ward is a little suspect with jockey's name, and he plays games with the entries a lot like that. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but he does it at a number of tracks, and so. I would highly doubt Irad will be here, considering he's riding in the Whitney, I believe,
Yeah, I don't
a couple
expect him to
hours
show
before.
up.
But you never know. I mean, we got an airport just 10 miles down the road, so we could see this. But my thinking was, if he's riding the Oaks in the Derby, slam dunk, he's going in there. But it's an interesting entry because Wesley's so good with first-time starters.
Yeah, I mean, any other trainer, this would be really concerning, right?
Yeah.
You can't give much credit to a first-time starter in a stakes race, but Wesley Ward has done it before,
Yeah.
and this is a pretty good pedigree that the 5 comes in here with.
We've talked a few times about Mun Passage and what a good debut that I thought that was. Kind of sat a pretty good trip though. That's the only thing that's a little concerning, was there wasn't a lot of obstacle, and it was a maiden 40, but the number came back pretty good.
Yeah, I remember that race came up tough, and
Yeah.
Belle Reeve's going to run back earlier
Yeah.
this week as well, so you've got to get a bit of a clue there. I liked the 9, Ununderstandable, quite a bit.
A maiden?
A maiden, I think you'll get
Dane
value on
Kabisky,
her.
that's why Merv likes it.
Yeah, I am and becoming more so, a big Dane Kabisky fan. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's Philly taking on the boys.
Okay.
Good pedigree.
Okay.
That was a very quick race. So
Okay.
it was only a fifth of a second slower than So Street ran. And then it was actually a full second faster than Mun Passage ran at the same distance. So she was beaten less than a
Week
length
later.
there. Yeah, but a full second. That's
The rails, you never know. I know what you're saying.
and she was off slow and
Yeah.
was beaten less
But
than a
a
length there.
significantly different or lower speed figure than Mun Passage.
Yeah,
Interesting.
time was
Okay.
fast.
Okay.
I'm all in on
All
this
right.
9.
Well,
Ununderstandable.
you very well might get more than 8-1 too.
I would not complain about that. I remember that was a tough maiden race too. Zoysia was coming in there with like 4 bullet works. I'm hoping to get some good value on this 9.
All right. Well, your top pick, So Street, and then Understandable second.
Yeah, and then I'll take the first time starter in 3rd.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to con you off that.
Look at that bullet work he did
No,
back on August
believe me,
11th.
I know.
He's fast.
I'm letting my jockey naming pet peeve take over for me. The Kitten's Joy Stakes, the thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance Kitten's Joy Stakes. Try to say that when they leave the gate, Merv. 2-year-olds, though, on the inner turf course. I mentioned John Ortiz. He's got one in here in Majestic John's, but you went for a pretty lightly raced one.
Yeah, well, how about this for a value play? Food and Wine, only 1 start, finished 4th, didn't really run a step there, but this is strictly a pedigree play, right? So he's got a lot of family members that did well at 2 on the turf. He's a full to Summering, who was a stakes winner at 2 on the turf. His dam, Wishing Gate, was stakes placed at 2 on the turf, and a graded stakes winner as an older horse on the turf. And the second dam was also a stakes winner at 2 on the turf, and also was 3rd in the Virginia Oaks. So there's a little Colonial Downs tie in here.
The other thing with this race that's the big story is that Field Pass, who's the morning night favorite, ran about 20 hours ago from when we're taping this, and ran really well in a grade 3 at Saratoga. I don't think we're going to see this one.
I doubt it.
Yeah, so this race going to end up being a field of 6, so it can possibly make it a little bit of a rider's race. Doc Boy showed speed routing last time, figures to be kind of close up. The 3's an overseas shipper, so we don't know. Cadet Connolly has been making runs in every race, just came up short in every race. And Majestic John's I mentioned, but a massive scratch though on this one.
Well, I thought already it was ripe to look for value in this race, with the scratch even more so. Did you
well,
like
it's hard to get value now though, right? We're down to 6 horses and they're all kind of even after that. So I mean,
well, I'll take the maiden and hope I'll get still something close to 10 to 1
that's fair.
there.
You were going to ask something else.
You mentioned Doc Boy in that race last time. I thought maybe that was maybe a bit of a fraudster race with the short field, and he was 1 to 5 in there. Did you like it?
No, but I was more looking at it from a pace speed standpoint.
Yeah.
So, your picks in race 7, Merv?
I went with the 5, 7, 2.
They're hitting the way. Hey, Swifty, you got your pick 5, buddy. All right, good, happy for him. Should we mention the Quantico Kid too, Merv? Just because I feel like that maiden race, we've seen so many of those horses come back. Even though it was kind of a small field, it just seemed like I saw the name the Quantico Kid pop up in PPs like 6 times over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, Cadet Conley comes back in this race as well. And remember how wide he was when he came and got him.
He came with a big loop. Anyways, so your picks in the 7th were 5, 6.
And I did pick the Quantico Kid in 2nd, and then Cadet Conley in 3rd.
Oh, because Field passes.
Yeah.
We're assuming not going to be joining us. The Virginia Oaks Merv, $150,000, and 3-year-old fillies. Mile and an eighth. Did we decide if this is the inner turf or the outer turf? It's inner turf according to the program.
Yeah, and they went final kind of late, so I didn't actually see.
Okay, so it says inner turf on mine.
So we did run inner turf mile and an eighth last week. So
yes.
Yeah.
This is by no means.
It.
It just I was thinking because a mile and an eighth would kind of start right in front of the crowd. I thought maybe that was what would happen, but it says inner turf, so we're going with inner turf. A field of 9. You'd indicated that you thought there was one that might be scratching out of the Derby, so we should end up with a field of 9 here. Where did you kind of steer in this race?
Tasting the Stars, the 5, comes in undefeated. I think she's probably going to be favored, but I found it very tough to not go with her. She made her first start in 5 months last time in that Just Genda Stakes, which I think we've seen some horses come out of that race to run here as well.
Shout out Monmouth. Well, there's another horse in this race coming out of that too, right?
Yeah, that was a really quick race. So she went 134 and 3. That was about a half a second faster than Tracksmith won his stakes race in the previous day. So we'll see Tracksmith in the Derby coming up in race number 9. But the filly did it faster, and she hadn't started in a while. And she was actually, I think, carrying a bit more weight than he was too. So they
went fast early fractions too, though, which I always sometimes that helps with that final time, just because some of those races they crawl so much. But Sweeter Than Wine was, kind of made a move at least into contention. Was never that far back in that same race, and is going to be 10-1. It's I don't know that they're. I was kind of trying to figure out the pace scenario here because Ionic is obviously coming off a wire-to-wire win here. The horse Aggie's Cat down toward the inside. Aggie's Cat got the lead, or Aggie's Kate rather, kind of broke a little slow and then pushed up, and kind of it says broken a tangle, but it kind of was rushed up, and so I don't know if they're intent to get on the lead with Aggie's Kate. I think they might want to be just because this is such a tougher group. I feel like they don't want her trying to close in with some of these other ones. If you can steal it, maybe. But I'm curious to see how this pace sets up. I feel like with Ionic, they, last time they. Kind of got an easy pace, but she's shown that she can come from a little off of it. So I actually really like Ionic, I should add. As I'm talking about that. What about Gardenista?
I really liked Gardenista.
Who's been very consistent, if anything.
Yeah, well, I just thought her win last time out was very dominant. Mm-hmm. That was over older horses, and she also beat Zonda in here, who comes back in this race, and also River Gal, who came back to run 3rd in Virginia Stakes here.
River Gal, yeah.
So that was, a key race, and she won like a good thing over at 3 lengths going away. So I thought she was a huge chance in here.
You put Zonda as a 5th choice. You're going 5 deep now?
Yeah. Is there a super high 5 in here? No. I picked Solar Kitten in 3rd, though. In for Ian Wilkes.
Yeah.
Second start off the layoff. The Wilkes barn usually needs one, but didn't run all that bad in Indiana Downs last time in a
slow pace. Trying to run into a slow pace is always tough, and this kind of a deep closer. They're always going to be a little bit pace dependent, right?
Yeah. I don't know if she's going to get a fast pace in here, but
your picks for the Oaks, Merv?
5, 6, 8.
5, 6, 8.
1, 7.
The featured event on the card, end of the meet. It's the Grade 3 New Kent County Virginia Derby. $250,000 on the inner turf at a mile and 8, so a same race, essentially distance-wise and everything, as the Oaks, and a field of 9. But you were saying that you thought one of them was going to.
Yeah, but that's not from the racing office. That's from the ticketing department. And
okay.
I think Shooting the Breeze might come out of here. But,
but for now we should handicap as though it's in. You were telling me you were having difficulty between the 6 and the 8, Tracksmith and English B, as who's to make favorite.
Yeah, the 2 Calumets, and I made English B the favorite just because we've seen so many Saratoga shippers come down here and
this is coming
take
up
money.
Grade 2.
Yeah, and Grade 2 and Grade 1, the Belmont Derby 2 back, so it's been facing just much tougher. Hasn't been placing well, but the speed figures are right there. Last time English B ran in an ungraded race, was a winner. So I thought English B would take more money, but I would bet the other one. I'd bet Tracksmith in here. 2 for 2 this year since coming back from the layoff. I just thought he's the hot horse, and he's been running fast times.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Tracksmith has just been very, very good lately. I mean, they're really kind of the 2 disappointing starts, and one was over a sloppy main track. And by the way, the horse kind of made a big move into that race. I mean, in mid-stretch was not all that out of contention and was 40-1 that day. I mean, Signalman, Plusk Parfait, and those are horses that went on to the Derby. I mean, one of them won the Dubai Derby, the UAE Derby. So, and then the loss in the Bourbon was not a bad effort either. And Henley's Joy, who was second that day, we know went on to win the Belmont Derby just a few weeks ago. So, Tracksmith's been keeping good company and winning. And three wins from 6 starts, and one of them was a head defeat to Henley's Joy, who, as I mentioned, that was at Kentucky Downs. So I just think a very talented, versatile horse who's going to be kind of sitting that mid-pack trip. I think. Did you look at Credit Swap at all? Who I thought was going to kind of be close up, and
He's got more tactical speed than the top 2 picks.
Yeah, and so I don't. I mean, Tracksmith just flat out ran him down last time. I mean, there's no other way to say it, but they're not that far apart, I guess.
No,
and the price is going to probably be double. I think Credit Swap probably goes off higher than 4, but maybe not. Maybe, I mean, especially if one of these is if the 5 is out, the money has to go somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know. He was not closing on Tracksmith last time, and he's got to negotiate an extra furlong in this race. So I did think he was going to take more money than that. I do think he'll be 4-1 or right around there. Yeah. And I think for me that's a bit of a play against, considering how that last race went. I did look for value with the 3.
Jace's Solitude.
Jace's Solitude. So he just comes from way out of it and is always just rolling late in his turf races.
Yeah, I went and watched his replay just to see how to say his name, and he was even money that day, so kind of expected to win, but was just basically did a wide looping. Hey, I'm better than you. I'm going around you, which is smart ride from Sophie Doyle in that sense. She sees it fit to make the trip down here to ride for Eddie Keneally, and again, a horse who is generally, I mean, the only races where this horse really didn't put in a run where it was an off the turf and a race that was on the dirt. So the turf races, this horse is always putting in good efforts.
Yeah.
And so the water's deep, but the price could be right.
Yeah, I hope so. He's my value play in here.
Solidify, I wanted to give a little mention to, was third in the Tail of the Cat Stakes. Standard Deviation came from pretty far back. Empire of War came from far back. So this race kind of flowed towards the horses at the back. They went a pretty good clip, 22-4. And I remember Standard Deviation kind of just did exactly what I said Jay Solitude would. Just went right to the outside and said, look, I'm better than you guys. And really exploded at the top of the stretch and pulled away. But Solidify came with a decent run there. And then last time the Kent Stakes, I mean, those were a little bit deeper waters. The problem is they're kind of about the same level of water as we're going to see from some of these top ones. So, again, I think Solidify is deservedly a higher price, but still pretty lightly raced, too. It's hard to think a fifth-time starter can't improve.
Yeah. Definitely worth a look. Did you like the outside horse at all? The Chilean Charge just ran too bad to be believed in the West Virginia Derby.
Well, I mean, I thought, well, first of all, I mean, we haven't seen this horse on turf, so that's a huge question. But the run on synthetic at Woodbine was very good. The follow-up win was incredible. But, that was an off-the-turf race, and it seems like those races in general can get a little bit goofy like that with big margin wins. But those are a couple of really, really good efforts. And by the way, the West Virginia Derby race wasn't terrible. I mean, the horse was in contention. I mean, and Mr. Money's supposed to be running in Grade 1 races. He was literally going over there to take their $600,000 that they were offering, and he did that, which was, his connections have been brilliant in terms of campaigning him away from the top ones. But he's up in that echelon, especially for this year's 3-year-old class. So, I mean, the big question is the grass, and you're a pedigree guy, Merv. What does Take Charge Indy do?
No, it wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't scream grass to me, but I liked that synthetic race a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
It was, and he figures, he's kind of tactical, right? He figures to be somewhat close up. At least that's been his MO. So
good little race.
Yeah, fun race. Your picks in the Virginia Derby, Merv?
6, 8, 3 for value.
This is the only really race that counts for bragging rights, though. Like, as long as you hit the big race of the meet, nobody will remember anything else. Your audience is always like quintuple, because everybody's tuning in to watch the graded race. 10th race on the card, Merv. Saturday we finish with a dainty little field of 14 and going on our inner turf course at 1 mile and a 16th. And I know you and me both were kind of looking more towards outside horses in here.
Yeah, well.
Or at least the outer half of the field.
Yeah, surprised. I went with Dan Kavitsky.
You love Dan Kavitsky,
yeah. A big drop in class from the maiden special in for 25 now. Didn't run that bad, I thought, last time at the maiden special weight level. Ever changing, I thought a lot of that race, and she was only 7 lengths beaten. So I thought even
it
if
was
she
prominent
just
through most of the early parts of the race.
yeah, I thought she ran a similar race. She's just right there with these. But I did also like the 11
Chicago, big race last time, was kind of pressing the pace.
Yeah, pressing the pace, and that was a good race. Beale Street was the winner there, so we'll see her run a bit earlier. But I thought, third start, she could even continue to improve.
What about Wolverette, Merv, who's 0 for 21?
0 for 21, but 10 in the money finishes.
A lot of seconds and thirds.
Yeah, likes to pick up those second and third checks, so I just made her my third pick, thinking, well, if I'm going to play tries or supers, got to use her underneath because she typically shows up there.
Adds the blinks, though, and had been wearing them prior to the last couple. So it's not an unprecedented equipment change. I thought maybe you would like the 7 a little bit. We talked about Don Roberson, who had that one big winner coming over from Prairie, but this horse came over and ran an okay 4th.
Yeah, she was part of the entry with Domestic Violet that day. It was only 5 lengths beaten by her, and that was a pretty good race.
Had to come from way off it in a sprint, which isn't always the easiest thing to do. My price play here was Exacta, who is coming off a big long layoff, but debuted at a mile and almost won. Got beat a neck, led most of the race, and just literally got caught at the end, which going a mile seemed a lot to ask, but that was a pretty impressive performance. It was a maiden special, but it was a Louisiana-bred, state-bred race. Adds the blinkers here, and I just thought if it maybe a forgotten horse, but I don't think it'll be forgotten just because it's one of the better running lines in the program, and I think people are going to see that and act accordingly. So.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
When we've seen some, maybe 1 or 2 Louisiana-breds coming from Louisiana-bred races to come here and win, so it wouldn't be unprecedented.
Everybody loves a law-bred, Merv. Your picks in the race 10?
12, 11, 9.
Okay, outside horses. Anyway, so that's going to wrap it up. I'm excited for Virginia Derby night. I think you are too. I think we all are. It's going to be a fun night. First post 5 o'clock again. Early pick 5, late pick 5, an all-stakes pick 4, races 6 through 9. What am I forgetting?
Loaded.
Yeah, going to be a fun night. We're actually just a really good entire weekend of racing here. So if you're watching this on Friday, tune into that card as well. But we'll be back next week for a 4-day closing week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You're going to make us earn our checks, Merv. We'll see you guys back on Wednesday.